Welcome, beloved chosen one. Listen closely. Never mistake silence for safety. Sometimes, it's the calm of an assassin sharpening his blade. And tonight, we are not speaking of an ordinary war. We are speaking of the kind of battle where your enemies thought they were sending hunters after you, but in reality, they sent sheep into the lion's den. The secret truth of military history is that more missions have failed not because of the target's strength, but because the target was already trained to anticipate the ambush. That is exactly what happened with you. They paid people to attack you without realizing they were sending them on a suicide mission. They thought you were weak, distracted, and unprepared. Yet, every move they made only sank them deeper into the trap you silently wove through years of pain, isolation, and rebirth. The irony is that they believed you were the prey, but in reality, you were the test. They didn't know the exam came with fatal consequences. And let's add a touch of humor to it. Because honestly, watching your enemies prepare to take you down is like watching someone bring a water pistol to a flamethrower fight. Nice effort, wrong weapon. So, buckle up, because what you are about to hear will prove one thing. When attacks are launched against you, the chosen one, they don't just fail. They backfire so violently that the attacker wonders if he accidentally signed up to face a ghost assassin sent directly by God. Number 1, they mistook your calm for weakness, not realizing it was precision. Your enemy's greatest mistake was thinking your silence equated to a lack of power. They saw you pause, they saw you observe, they saw you not react immediately, and in their superficial understanding, they assumed you were afraid, cornered, or ignorant. But that calm was your strategy. Every second you remained silent, you were calculating. Every moment you did not respond, you were sharpening your timing. Assassins do not waste energy striking blindly. They wait for the single move that ends it all. That is what they never understood about you. Calm does not mean you are asleep. It means you are awake on a level they cannot comprehend. While they were busy spreading gossip, lies, and attacks against you, you remained so stable that you were deconstructing their pattern. You learned who was pulling the strings, who was weak in the group, who panicked under pressure, and who thought they were untouchable. By the time they made their move, you had already mapped out their downfall. Your calm is precision, because it denies them control. Attackers thrive on reactions. They want you to flinch, to panic, to break formation so they can claim victory. But when you do not react, when you refuse to be shaken, you starve their plans. They were punching the air, burning all their energy while you stood there, preserving yours for the decisive blow. That is the training of an assassin. Never waste a movement. Never reveal your weapon before it is time to end the fight. And here is what hurts them the most. They thought they were intimidating you, but in reality, you were studying them like open books. Your silence was not fear. It was X-ray vision. You were extracting information from their every move while giving them nothing in return. That is why they seem confused now. They don't understand how someone they underestimated dismantled every trap they set. They cannot fathom how you survived attacks they were sure would finish you. The truth is simple. Weakness panics, strength prepares. You prepared, and when you finally move, it is not loud, it is not desperate, it is surgical. That is why your enemies are left wondering what just happened, realizing too late that they were not fighting prey. They were exposing themselves to a precision they never saw coming. Number 2, they hired amateurs to challenge someone who trains in the darkness. That was the root of their downfall. The people sent to attack you were not seasoned in real warfare. They were amateurs operating on jealousy, pride, and bribed motives. They thought gossip could shake you, that lies could bury you, that intimidation could paralyze you. What they did not know is that you have undergone training that money cannot buy. Your battles were not theoretical. They were lived. Every betrayal you endured, every loss you carried in silence, every night you had to rebuild with no one to call, that was your boot camp. You were trained by pain they only pretended to overcome. The darkness was your classroom. While others fled their storms, you remained in yours until you mastered them. You learned patience, resilience, and focus when no one was applauding, when no one believed in you, when you had to sharpen yourself without external validation. That is why their attacks fell flat. They acted on sudden emotion. But you were forged by years of endurance. They acted blindly. You were targeting with unerring aim. That is the difference between someone who shadowboxes for show and someone who has been in real fights. You survived betrayals from those you loved, abandonment by those you trusted, and plots designed to completely ruin you. Those experiences transformed you into something no hired enemy could ever match. That is why when they tried to take you down, they were already out of their depth. They acted out of greed. But you were trained by fire. And here is the brutal truth. They thought they were walking into an easy job, but they were signing up for humiliation. Attacking you was never going to be a victory. It was a lesson. They were too inexperienced to see that by coming against you, they were not just attacking a person. They were facing everything you had survived. That survival is what makes you dangerous. That survival is what makes you untouchable. So, while they operated as reckless beginners, you stood as someone who had already graduated from a school they couldn't have survived a single day in. That is why they failed. That is why they are shaken. They underestimated the years of training that came from your darkness, and they learned it the hard way. No amateur can outmatch someone who was born in the shadows and mastered them. Number 3. They did not understand that you learned survival by dying every day. The enemies who came against you thought pain was new to you, that betrayal would shock you, or that isolation would weaken you. What they did not realize is that your whole life has been a series of deaths and resurrections. You died to friendships you thought were eternal, to family ties that turned toxic, to stolen opportunities, and to versions of yourself that could not carry the weight of your calling. Each time, you resurrected, sharper, stronger, and more refined than before. That is why their attacks had no real effect. They were striking a person who had already buried countless versions of herself and learned to breathe again after every loss. The people they paid to hurt you thought they could break you with one wound, but they did not know you have been carrying scars for years. Pain no longer surprises you. It educates you. Every time you were cut, you learned to heal faster. Every time something within you collapsed, you discovered a new strength you didn't know you possessed. When someone learns to die every day, survival is no longer about clinging to life. It becomes a mastery of transformation. You no longer resist change. You absorb it, you bend it, you grow through it. That is what makes you untouchable. You have lost too much to be shaken by another loss. You have been rejected too many times to collapse from rejection. You have been forced to rebuild from nothing so many times that starting over does not terrify you. It empowers you. That is the advantage your enemies did not see coming. They thought an attack would be the end. But for you, endings are beginnings. They thought betrayal would leave you broken, but betrayal has always been your trainer. They thought loss would reduce you to silence, but loss taught you to speak with more power. By the time they launched their mission against you, you were no longer the fragile target they imagined. You were someone who had already been through the fire and emerged with the flames as your armor. The truth is, they did not face someone who feared death. They faced someone who transformed dying daily into a survival skill. And that kind of person doesn't just endure attacks. They turn every blow into fuel for resurrection. Number 4, they mistook numbers for power, ignoring that you have fought alone against armies. The truth is, there is no safety in numbers when the group itself is weak, fragmented, and motivated by nothing more than shared hatred. They believed that gathering as a pack would intimidate you, that the noise of many voices and the pressure of a collective force would bury you. But what they did not know is that you spent years in solitude fighting battles from all directions without a single hand to help you. You were forced to become your own army. While they depended on each other to feel strong, you learned to generate strength from within. That kind of training changes everything. Solitude made you surgical. It taught you to spot weaknesses in groups, to see the cracks in their supposed unity, to observe how one person's hesitation contaminates the entire group. Where they needed numbers to feel powerful, you discovered that true power comes from precision. When you have fought alone against storms of betrayal, abuse, and spiritual warfare, a group of enemies seems less like an army and more like easy prey. What they do not realize is that numbers create noise, and noise creates mistakes. The larger their circle, the more room for errors, egos, and conflict. You never needed 20 hands. You needed a single move. That move is focus. That move is resilience. That move is knowing who you are when no one stands by your side. Numbers do not frighten someone who has faced battles with no support and survived. In fact, Their numbers expose them. You can see how desperately they cling to each other for courage while you stand firm alone. They thought you would panic under the weight of so many voices rising against you. But you have already endured seasons where the entire world seemed against you. Those were your training grounds. That is where you learned to dismantle enemies who think their strength comes from unity when in reality it comes from discipline and spiritual depth. So when they came to you in numbers, they unconsciously repeated the same mistake that history shows again and again. Armies fall not because of their numbers, but because of who they are facing. And when the one they are facing has survived armies in silence, the crowd does not intimidate them. It collapses before them. Number 5. They thought you were their target, but in reality you were the test. This is the twist they never saw coming. In their minds, you were just another victim, someone they could use, betray, and discard without consequence. They believed the contract was simple. Destroy you, silence you, take what they could from you. But what they did not realize is that all of this was not really about you. It was about them. God positioned you as the measure, the mirror, the dividing line that revealed who they truly were beneath the surface. When they plotted against you, they were not only exposing hatred, they were exposing their own blindness. They could not see the bigger picture. They could not see that their hands were being watched, that their motivations were being recorded, that their choices were being weighed against eternity. They thought they were hunting, but their hunt became evidence against them. Your presence brought their true character to light. It was never about your destruction. It was about the exposure of their greed, their dishonor, and their cowardice. Every attack they launched became a confession. Every plot they joined revealed where their true loyalty lay. By coming against you, they showed they had no spiritual vision, no discernment, no understanding of who they were touching. They were blind to the fact that the chosen carry a mission far beyond what human eyes can measure. They could not see the weight resting on your life. So when they came for you, they actually threw themselves into a trap that stripped them bare, and that is what disturbs them now. They thought you were there for destruction, but in reality, you were there for revelation. They did not fail because you fought back harder. They failed because they exposed themselves. Their hands betrayed them, their words betrayed them, and their choices screamed louder than anything you could have said. God did not need you to strike back. He just needed you to stand still long enough for their true nature to be revealed. And when it happened, the test was graded. They failed. You were not the prey. You were the mission designed to reveal who was blind, who was greedy, and who was too cowardly to defend the truth. They were not exposing you. You were exposing them. Number 6. They did not know that you don't fight fairly. You fight definitively. Your enemies thought you would react like most people, trading insult for insult, blow for blow, wound for wound. They expected childish games where nobody really wins and the war drags on. But you do not fight for entertainment. You do not fight to prove anything. You fight to end things so thoroughly that the same battle never dares to rise again. That is why they stood no chance. Your defense is not about returning fire or giving temporary lessons. It is about creating a response so decisive that the threat itself collapses. You don't just stop the attacks. You dismantle the ability to attack you again. This is the mindset of someone who has fought too many battles to waste energy on a second round. You learned that survival demands efficiency. If you strike, it is surgical. If you defend, it is absolute, and once it is done, it is finished. The people who came against you did not realize this. They thought they were playing chess with someone who was distracted, emotional, and easily manipulated. But you were not playing their game. You were rewriting the rules. You do not counter with petty moves. You counter with finality. When you close a door, it stays closed. When you expose an enemy, their mask never fits again. When you declare the war over, it is because nothing remains for the war to continue. That is why you terrify them. They are used to people who leave cracks, who leave room for reconciliation, who can be provoked into endless cycles of retaliation. But you are not built that way. You cut cycles, you close chapters, you seal coffins. That is why anyone who comes against you ends up regretting it. Not because you shout louder, but because you leave no chance for a second round. This is the assassin in you. Assassins do not fight fairly because fairness prolongs battles into the future. They fight definitively because their mission is closure, and that is what you embody. When someone tries to destroy you, they do not get a prolonged war, they get their last war. You do not waste time returning scratches because scratches heal. You strike where there is no coming back, and that is why every attack against you turns to silence, because once you end it, it never gets up again. Number 7. They thought you operated in the physical, ignoring that your arena is the invisible. That is why they failed before they even began. They plotted with human strategies. They schemed with earthly weapons. They organized attacks through gossip, lies, intimidation, and manipulation, tools that work well on ordinary people. But you are not ordinary. You never have been. Your strength does not come from the surface. It does not come from points, threats, or numbers. It comes from a realm they cannot touch. And that is what makes you untouchable. The truth is, while they were building their traps in the physical, you were dismantling them in the spirit. They were preparing attacks of flesh and blood. But you do not wage war in the flesh and blood. You wage war in prayer. You wage war in discipline. You wage war in the invisible spaces where their plots have no oxygen. Every move they made in the natural was already collapsing in the invisible before it could reach you. They could not understand why their attacks never landed as they had planned. It is because they were striking at smoke while you were striking at their spirit. That is what disturbs them the most. You do not look like a fighter, but you fight on a level they cannot comprehend. They were prepared for an argument, for a breakdown, for a visible reaction. Instead, they got silence, strategy, and a counterattack that did not come from your hands, but from the God who backs you. You did not need to chase them. You let the invisible world handle what their eyes could not even recognize. And that is where their blindness caught them. They assumed that because you did not fight back physically, you were not fighting at all. They mistook your refusal to dirty yourself with their tactics for weakness, when in reality it was proof that you operated in another dimension. Their weapons can only wound the flesh. Yours strike the spirit, the mind, and destiny. That is why you did not just survive their attacks. You reversed them. It is because they were striking at smoke while you were striking their spirit. That is what disturbs them the most. You do not look like a fighter, but you fight on a level they cannot comprehend. They were prepared for an argument, for a breakdown, for a visible reaction. Instead, they got silence, strategy, and a counterattack that did not come from your hands, but from the God who backs you. You did not need to chase them. You let the invisible world handle what their eyes could not even recognize. And that is where their blindness caught them. They assumed that because you did not fight back physically, you were not fighting at all. They mistook your refusal to dirty yourself with their tactics for weakness, when in reality it was proof that you operated in another dimension. Their weapons can only wound the flesh. Yours strike the spirit, the mind, and destiny. That is why you did not just survive their attacks. You reversed them. It is because they were striking at smoke while you were striking their spirit. Number 8. They saw your scars as proof of weakness, not as badges of immunity. That is where they miscalculated. To them, your scars seemed like evidence that you had been damaged, that you had been broken too many times to get up again. They took the marks left by your battles as signs that you could be easily eliminated. But what they did not know is that every scar was actually a certificate of survival, proof that you had already faced weapons sharper than theirs and come out alive. Scars do not make you fragile, they make you resilient. Your enemies do not understand that the very things they think disqualify you are what make you impossible to destroy. Every betrayal sharpened your discernment. Every grief strengthened your spirit. Every trap rewired your instincts. The poisons they thought would paralyze you became the medicine that trained your system to handle worse. When you have already survived the venom, a little sting does not frighten you. This is the power of someone who has been through the fire. They do not flinch at smoke. They do not panic at sparks. You have already been engulfed, already burned, already tested by flames meant to incinerate you, and yet you walked out. So when they launch their recycled tactics, when they try old tricks with new faces, they do not realize you are vaccinated. They are giving you a dose of poison against which you have already developed immunity. It is like watching an enemy pull out a weapon you were wounded by before. The first time, it drew blood, it almost finished you. But you survived, and the wound became wisdom. Now, When they strike with that same blade, it does not pierce you. It bounces off the armor your scars have created. That is why they are frustrated. They do not understand why the traps that worked on others collapse before you. They cannot fathom why the poison they deploy so easily suddenly has no effect. The truth is simple. Scars are not signs of defeat. They are signs of resilience. They tell the story of someone who did not just survive, but evolved. And when evolution has already hardened your spirit, no recycled plot, no familiar betrayal, no repeated weapon can succeed. They thought scars meant you were weak. In reality, scars meant you were immunized. Number 9. They thought they could corner you, not knowing that you are the trap. This is the irony of their entire mission. They believed they were clever, that their plot would immobilize you and leave you with no options. To them, every rumor, every lie, every calculated betrayal tightened the walls around you. They expected to see you panic, to see you struggle, to finally prove you were not as strong as you seemed. What they never realized is that your supposed corner was actually bait. You were never the one who was trapped. You were the one who was trapping. This is what sets you apart from them. While they were playing checkers, you were preparing a chessboard. You let them believe you were outnumbered. You let them think their plans were hidden. You let them underestimate your silence. Meanwhile, you were studying them, letting them gather, expose themselves, overcommit. They could not see that their own ambition was tightening the rope not around your neck, but around their own. This is the strategy of an assassin. True power does not flee ambushes, it manufactures them. You do not waste time chasing enemies when you can make them come to you. That is exactly what happened. They took the bait of their own arrogance. They followed the trail of their greed, and soon they were so deeply engaged in their attacks that they had no idea the walls were closing in on them. What they thought was a victory was actually self-exposure. They thought they had cornered you, but corners are where hunters wait. You turned what seemed like a weakness into a perfect trap. The more they pressed, the more evidence they created against themselves. The more they tried to lock you in, the clearer their intentions became to all who were watching. By the time they realized what was happening, it was too late. They had walked right into the net you pretended not to be weaving. And that is why they cannot win against you. Their strength lies in deception, but your strength lies in patience and strategy. They only know how to chase. You know how to lure. They assumed you were the prey, but in reality you were waiting, calm, precise, and unshakable, until they trapped themselves. And what met them was a divine justice disguised as calm timing. Number 10. They thought they could break you with fear, not knowing that you are intimate with it. Fear is not a stranger to you. It is not an intruder, but a mistress in your life. You have lived with fear in a way most people would not survive. You have endured nights so heavy that breathing felt like a battle. You have faced betrayals that made you doubt you could ever trust again. You have suffered losses that made the future seem like a dark corridor with no exit. Fear has sat at your table, slept in your room, and followed you for years. But here is the difference. You never let it possess you. You studied it, you confronted it, and you stripped it of its power. That is why when they tried to use fear as a weapon against you, it failed before it even reached you. They thought fear would paralyze you, but it has already been your trainer. They thought it would silence you, but fear taught you discipline. It taught you to keep moving forward, even with trembling knees. It taught you to speak the truth when your voice shook. It taught you that courage is not the absence of fear, it is the mastery of it. So when they brought out intimidation, you did not crack. You smiled because they were using a weapon you already owned. The truth is, fear lost its grip on you years ago. At some point, you realized that fear was nothing more than an emotion waiting for direction. You stopped letting it control you and started making it work for you. Where others freeze, you focus. Where others retreat, you advance. Where others hesitate, you strike. That is why you have been able to engage in situations that would break the average person. Fear has sharpened you. It has transformed into a blade in your hands, sharper than any threat your enemies could launch. And that is what disturbs them the most. They are used to seeing people bend at the first sign of intimidation. They are used to fear turning men into cowards and women into silence. But you are not wired that way. You have danced with fear long enough to know its rhythm, and now you lead the steps. They did not break you with it, they built you with it. And that is why they cannot win. Because every time they wield fear against you, you cut deeper with the very blade they thought they could use to destroy you. Number 11. They did not realize that every attack makes you smarter while every attack makes them sloppier. This is the part of the story they will never admit. You were never losing when they came against you. You were learning. Every plot they launched against you was meant to crush you, but all it really did was educate you. You noted who betrayed you, how they acted, what method they used, and how quickly they revealed themselves when the pressure mounted. You became a student of your own battles, absorbing the lessons while refusing to let the pain make you bitter. That is why every attack only made you sharper. Your enemies, on the other hand, are reactive. They cannot help but show their hand too soon. They get excited, become greedy or desperate, and in the heat of the moment, they expose their own weakness. They do not know patience, they do not know discipline, they do not know how to play the long game. Every time they attack, they burn energy they cannot recover, while you conserve yours. Every time they strike, they confirm their intentions to all who are watching, while you remain stable and let them unravel themselves. That is why the scale tipped in your favor without you even having to lift a finger. You learned to adapt in the midst of battle. When one attack didn't work, you adjusted your defense. When a betrayal took you by surprise, you restructured your circle. When lies tried to bury you, you built strength in your truth. Slowly, every attempt to cause your fall became a new layer of wisdom. You became immune to their game, not because they stopped, but because you trained yourself to use every attack as a stepping stone. Meanwhile, they grew sloppier. They repeated tactics. They became predictable. They grew careless with their words, reckless with their alliances, and lazy with their setups. Where they once took pains to cover their tracks, they actually exposed themselves as amateurs while you were ascending to mastery. The irony is clear. They thought constant attacks would wear you down, but those constant attacks only made you evolve. Every loss turned into knowledge. Every betrayal turned into discernment. Every blow turned into strategy. You did not just survive the battle. You became lethal in it. And now, their own aggression is the very reason they can never defeat you. They armed you with everything you needed to destroy them without even trying. Number 12. They did not know that their mission was actually suicide. This is the cruel twist of their own choice. They were so eager to eliminate you, so blinded by greed, envy, or the promise of quick gain, that they did not take the time to ask what they were truly engaging in. They thought the mission was simple. Target you, weaken you, eliminate you. But the chosen do not fall like ordinary people. When they came against you, they were not just launching an attack, they were writing their own end. This is what sets you apart from the average target. Assassins do not fight on the surface. They turn the mission against the attacker. Every plot they thought would silence you became the very trap that silenced them. Every rumor they spread came back to stain their own name. Every lie they believed would destroy you ended up destroying their credibility. They did not know that attacking you was not just dangerous. It was fatal to their reputations, their alliances, and in some cases, even their mental health. The reality is that trying to kill what God has designated is the quickest way to kill yourself. They did not understand this. They saw you as a human adversary, but you did not stand alone. You were backed by something greater, something untouchable. Their mission was not against flesh and blood. It was against divine will. That is why it collapsed so brutally. They were not fighting you. They were fighting the one who sent you. And no one survives that fight. What makes this even more tragic is that they could have chosen differently. They could have walked away, but instead, they sold themselves to destruction. The moment they signed on to harm you, they signed a death warrant for their own peace, their own blessing, and their own future. They thought they were cashing in on your fall without realizing they had just invested in their own ruin. So yes, they believed they were eliminating, but in reality, they were digging their own grave with every step. This is the truth of the assassin. You never let an attack remain on you. You turn it back on the sender, and when they realize what is happening, it is already too late. The contract they thought was about your end was actually about theirs. Their mission was not a mission, it was suicide. Number 13. They saw you as prey, not knowing that you are a predator in disguise. This is the miscalculation they made. and it cost them more than they could afford. They looked at you with superficial eyes, your quietness, your patience, your endurance, and assumed it was weakness. They thought that because you did not roar, you could not bite. They mistook humility for powerlessness and endurance for fragility. What they did not know is that the chosen master the art of camouflage. You learned early that showing all your strength too quickly only fuels the enemy's strategy. So, you let them underestimate you. You let them walk confidently to their own ruin. This is the true skill of a spiritual predator. It is not always about striking first. It is about letting your enemy fully reveal themselves. While they assumed they had cornered prey, you were studying them, memorizing their weaknesses, waiting for the moment when the hunter becomes the hunted. Every move they made, thinking they had the upper hand, only placed them deeper in your crosshairs. They took your silence for fear, not knowing it was calculation. And when the roles reversed, their own hands betrayed them. That is why those same hands raised against you are trembling now. It is not because you shouted, threatened, or fought back as they expected. It is because you unmasked them with precision. They thought they had trapped you, but you were the trap from the beginning. The predator does not hunt. He stalks, waits, and strikes once in a way that leaves no room for counterattack. The truth is, being chosen equips you with an instinct ordinary people do not have. You have survived enough ambushes to know how to play weak until it is time to reveal your strength. You have endured enough betrayal to recognize patterns others would miss, and you have been overlooked long enough to perfect the art of hiding your power until it is too late for your enemies to escape. That is why their trembling is not just fear, it is recognition. They realized too late that they were not hunting prey at all. They walked into the presence of someone who had been studying them from the shadows. Someone who knows how to end battles without even starting them. They saw you as prey. What they did not realize is that you were the predator in disguise, the silent storm, the hidden blade, the one who never needed to be loud to be lethal. And when they discovered the truth, the hunt was already over. Number 14. They thought your anger would resemble that of a human, but it is divine. This was their first mistake. Believing you would respond to betrayal and attack as they would. They expected outbursts, petty vengeance, strong words, or desperate scrambling. They thought you would strike blindly in the heat of anger, fighting on their level. What they did not understand is that the chosen do not fight for pride. They fight for a mission. Your posture is never about proving something. It is about fulfilling the mandate God placed within you. That is why when you move, the atmosphere shifts. Your response is not fueled by pride but by purpose. And that makes it untouchable. When God's hand is behind your actions, your anger doesn't just stop an enemy. It dismantles their foundation. People underestimate this because divine retaliation does not always seem dramatic. Sometimes it is a silent collapse. Sometimes it is invisible battles that leave your enemies agitated, ruined, sick, or exposed. They think it is a coincidence, but it is a consequence. You do not need to plan their downfall. It is built into the structure of the mission you carry. Divine power doesn't just make you victorious, it makes their efforts futile. The reason they implode instead of just failing is that divine anger is total. Human anger aims to hurt feelings, reputations, or resources. Divine anger aims at the root. It shakes their masks, their alliances, their finances, their false confidence, and their spiritual covering. It strips them layer by layer until they are exposed to the same darkness they tried to use against you. That is why many of your enemies collapse in ways that seem unrelated to their attacks on you. It is not random, it is divine. That is why you never had to shout, plot, or scramble for revenge. Your enemies expected human anger, but what met them was a divine justice disguised as a calm response. They thought they were playing with a person. They were actually fighting a mission. That is a battle no human can win. And when they realized that the war they had chosen was not against you, but against the force backing you, it was too late. Their failure was not just a defeat. It was an implosion because nothing survives when it collides with divine anger. The truth is undeniable. Every attack they launched, every plot they conceived, every hand they raised against you only revealed their weakness and amplified your power. They mistook numbers for strength, fear for leverage, and human strategy for mastery, never realizing that you operate on a level they cannot perceive. Solitude sharpened you, scars fortified you, and divine alignment guided your every move. While they acted in haste, panic, and ego, you moved with precision, patience, and purpose. They thought they were hunting prey, cornering a victim, or controlling a situation, but in reality they were exposing themselves, walking into traps they could not see, and entering a battlefield where they were disarmed. Your enemies failed because they assumed the rules of engagement were theirs to write. They did not understand that you do not fight to trade blows. You fight to end things. You do not react. You resolve. You do not wage war in the flesh and blood alone. You move in the invisible where their weapons are powerless. Every attempt at intimidation, injury, or destruction only served to educate you, to strengthen you, and to dismantle them. Their plots were nothing but lessons, their attacks nothing but ammunition for your ascent. And the most extraordinary truth of all is that they were never the hunters. You were never the prey. You were the test, the trap, the force that transformed their ambition into self-destruction. Divine anger, cultivated resilience, and strategic mastery mean that every blow they attempted has bounced back with consequences they cannot escape. Their plots were nothing but lessons, their attacks nothing but ammunition for your ascent. And the most extraordinary truth of all is that they were never the hunters. You were never the prey. You were the test, the trap, the force that transformed their ambition into self-destruction. Divine anger, cultivated resilience, and strategic mastery mean that every blow they attempted has bounced back with consequences they cannot escape. The contract they thought was about your end was actually about theirs. Their mission was not a mission, it was suicide. You are untouchable, unshakable, and unstoppable. The wars they tried to wage are already over. They lost before they even realized the battle had begun. And in the end, what they thought would finish you only ensured that your ascent was absolute, your power undeniable, and your enemies definitively humiliated. You don't just survive. You triumph, and every attempt to harm you only confirms the depth of your mastery. Family, if this message struck a chord in your spirit, do not keep it to yourself. Click the subscribe button now to never miss these revelations. Press like to signal to the algorithm that this message was needed, and leave a comment below. Share your thoughts, your testimonies, or even the battles you have overcome. I want to hear from you. And don't stop there. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded of their own strength. Someone who needs to know they are not prey but chosen. The more you engage, the more this truth spreads, and together we build a community of warriors who can be neither silenced nor broken. Your voice, your support, and your presence here are what keep this mission alive. So, subscribe, like, comment, and share, and let's continue to shake the spiritual realm together. This is bigger than us. It is destiny.